Hello again mga kasay! Ngayon ay magkakaroon ulit tayo ng drill para sa psychological assessment. Ready ka na ba? Let's start with number 1. Paul takes a test in the army to see if he would make a good pilot. Such a test is A. Standardized test, B. Aptitude test, C. Intelligence test, or D. Achievement test. Number 2. If the test is reliable, it means that A. It is given in the same way every time. B. It tests what it is supposed to test. C. It is a fair assessment. Or D. It yields consistent result. Number 3. The standardization sample is A. The group of people who took the test. B. A random sample of the test takers used to evaluate the performance of others. C. The people used to represent the population for which the test was intended. Or D. All the people who might ever take the test. Number 4. Which of the following is not one of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences? A. Practical, B. Interpersonal, C. Musical, or D. Spatial. Number 5. Mrs. Cho is careful to make sure that she fairly represents the whole year's work on the final exam for her psychological statistics exam. If Mrs. Cho achieves this goal, her test will have A. Test reliability, B. Construct validity, C. Content validity, or D. Split hat validity. Number 6. A store scores at the 84th percentile on the WISC. Which number most closely expresses IQ? Is it A. 85, B. 110, C. 115, or D. 120? Number 7. Spearman argued that intelligence could be boiled down into one ability known as letter A. S, B, I, C, G, or D, F. Number 8. Which of the following would provide the strongest evidence for the idea that intelligence is highly heritable? Is it A. The IQ scores of parents are positively correlated with the scores of their children? B. Monozygotic twins separated at birth have extremely similar IQ scores. D. C. Dizygotic twins are more similar on IQ than do other siblings. And D. Different ethnic groups have different average IQ scores. Number 9. All of the following are people known for their theories of what intelligence is except A. Thurstone, B. Sternberg, C. Gardner, or D. Flynn. Number 10. Which is true of power tests? A. They are administered in a short amount of time. B. They are an example of an individual test. C. They are pure measure of achievement. And D. They consist of all items of varying difficulty levels. Number 11. People with high EQs would be likely to A. Pursue high-paying occupations, B. Complete college, C. Find jobs well suited to their individual strengths, or D. Be creative problem solvers. Number 12. Although her score on the personality test indicated that Mary was devoid of social grace, painfully shy, and frightened to other people, she is extremely popular and outgoing. This personality test lacks A. Reliability or reliable, B. Standardization, C. Consistency, or D. Validity. Number 13. Santos is 8-year-old and according to Stanford Binet, he has a mental age of 10. What is his IQ? Is it A. 80, B. 100, C. 120, or D. 125? Number 14. The Flynn effect is finding that A. intelligence seems to increase with every generation. B. Television has decreased intellectual performance. C. Linguistic skills decline with age. Or D. Within group differences are larger than between group differences. And last number 15, Desmond believes that the nature is far more important in shaping personality than nurture. Desmond probably believes in the strong influence of A. Environment, B. Genetics, C. Reinforcement, or D. Learning. And now we go to answers and explanation. So, i-check natin kung gaano kadami ang naitama mo sa 15 tanong na binigay natin. So, let's start with number 1. So, the correct answer is aptitude test. Aptitude test aims to measure someone's ability or potential. In this case, the test is supposed to show whether Paul has the ability to be a pilot. The test may or not be standardized or biased. The test is not attempting to measure Paul's intelligence since Paul has not yet been trained as a pilot. The test is not also an achievement test. Next, if the test is reliable, it means that the answer is D. It yields consistent results. Standardized tests are generally given in the same way every time. Standardization in terms of scoring, administration, and interpretation. While a valid tests are reliable tests are not necessarily valid. A test is valid if it measures what it is supposed to measure. Whether a test is fair or biased can be evaluated in several ways as explained in the lectures. However, the fairness of a test is not synonymous with consistency. Next, number 3, the standardization sample is letter C. The people used to represent the population for which the test was intended. And none of the other choices referred to by any specific terminology. Number 4, which of the following is not one of the Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences? The answer is letter A, practical. This is part of Sternberg's triarchic theory of intelligence. Remember, Gardner's multiple intelligences include linguistics, spatial, logical, mathematical, musical, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, and naturalistic intelligence. Number 5, if Mrs. Cho achieves this goal, her test will have, and the correct answer is letter C, content validity. The concern of Mrs. Cho is content validity of her test, a test that fairly represents all the material taught in class has content validity. Validity in general measures how well a test measure what it is supposed to measure. And next number, Astor scores at the 84th percentile, which number mostly or closely expresses IQ. And the correct answer is 115. The WISC or the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children yields a deviation IQ score. The mean of the WISC is set at 100, and therefore, someone who scored 100 has scored at the 50th percentile on the test. The standard deviation on the WISC is set at 15. Since approximately 34% of the scores in a normal distribution fall between the mean and one standard deviation above the mean, the score Astor at the 84th percentile indicates that he scored almost exactly one standard deviation above the mean. And therefore, to compute Astor's score, we have to simply add the mean, which is 100, to one standard deviation, which is 15. 100 plus 15 is 115. Number 7. Spearman argued that intelligence could be boiled down into one ability known as letter C. It's G, The G stands for general intelligence, no? Which Spearman argued that intelligence could be boiled down to one ability known as the G, or the general intelligence. Spearman also discussed S, which stands for specific intelligences, and the other letters are simply destructors. Number 8, which of the following would provide the strongest evidence of the heritability? The correct answer is boy. Monozygotic twins separated at birth have extremely similar IQ. So the strongest evidence stressed or presented for intelligence to be highly heritable is that monozygotic separated at birth have extremely similar IQs. And next number, all of the following are people known for their theories of what intelligence is, except letter D, Flynn. While Thurstone, Gardner, Sternberg, and Guilford all tried to define intelligence, Flynn is known for his observation that intelligence as measured by IQ is increasing. And then we have the next number, which is true of power tests. The answer is letter dog. They consist of items of varying levels of difficulty. Again, power tests consist of items of varying level of difficulty because their purpose is to identify the upper limit of a person's ability. Speed tests are given in a small amount of time since they seek to test how quickly someone can solve problem. Power tests could be given individually or in group. Having a pure measure of achievement is impossible, okay? But IQ test yields IQ score. 11. People with high EQ would likely to, letter C, find jobs well suited to their individuality. Emotional intelligence is thought to help people achieve what they want to achieve. Someone who has high EQ will not necessarily want a high-paying job, go to college, or be a creative problem-solving, or have many close friends. And then next, 12. This personality test lacks, letter D, validity. Since personality test does not seem to have resulted in an accurate depiction of Mary's personality, the test lacks validity. And next number, what is his IQ? An 8-year-old with a mental age of 10. The correct answer is 125. Scores on Stanford Binet are computed by dividing the mental age by chronological age and multiplying them by 100. And since 10 divided by 8 is 1.25, no? So plus 100, so that would be 1.125 as the IQ of the kid. And next, the Flynn effect is the finding that A, intelligence seems to increase with every generation. Although television is often cast as great social evil that rots the minds of our nation's youth, siguro kasama na rin ngayon yung gadget. One hypothesized contribution to the Flynn effect is the exposure to the complex and rapid visual stimuli that appear on television. And last number, Desmond believes that the nature is far more important in reshaping personality than nurture. So the correct answer is dog, genetics. Adherent to the nature perspective, often emphasize the effect of genetic makeup in shaping relevant personality. All the factors like environment, learning, reinforcement, and culture are associated with nurture perspective. And that's it for today. So I hope natuto ulit tayo ng kahit na kaunti, madagdag sa ating kaalaman. At kung ngayon ka palang nag-tune in, don't forget to subscribe. Mag-invite ka na rin ng iba para marami tayong manood dito. I-click mo yung share, i-click mo yung like, and don't forget, i-click mo na rin yung notification bell para ma-remind ka pagka mayroon tayong mga bagong drills. Stay safe everyone, and I hope you're all okay. Goodbye!